Heard you were on your way to an interview when you saved my daughter. Daniel chuckled dryly. Yeah. Didn't make it, though. Grace looked him in the eyes. I own Bennett Industries. We're always looking for people with courage, quick thinking, and heart. Would you come in for an interview? Daniel's jaw dropped. You own Bennett Industries? The billion-dollar company? She smiled. That's the one. The next week, Daniel walked into a glass skyscraper, his tie neat, his shoes shining, this time, no bus. Grace herself greeted him and walked him through the office. After the interview, she shook his hand and said, "Welcome to the team." Daniel fought back tears. Months passed. Daniel rose quickly, impressing everyone with his work ethic, humility, and leadership. Luke got new shoes and a better school. They moved into a modest but clean apartment with warm water and reliable heating. Grace and Daniel grew close, not romantically, but as friends bonded by an extraordinary moment. Emily and Luke became inseparable. Then one day, Grace invited Daniel to speak at a company leadership retreat. He shared his story not to boast, but to inspire. He spoke of being broke, scared, alone, but still choosing to stop for someone in need. Choosing what was right, not what was convenient. I missed the most important interview of my life that day, he said, his voice steady, but it led to something far greater. I've learned that kindness is never wasted. For a long moment, neither spoke. The sound of rain filled the silence. Grace covered her face with her hands. I regretted it every single day. But by the time I wanted to fix it, I was pregnant with Liam, and the company replaced me too. They used both of us, Daniel. Daniel stared at the trembling woman he once loved, the mother struggling to keep her child alive. His anger began to blur with pity, then sorrow. He saw her son's eyes, full of fear and love, and realized what mattered wasn't revenge. It was redemption. He took a deep breath. Grace, I'm not the man I was back then. I've made peace with my past. Let me help you now. She shook her head again. You shouldn't. But he already had his phone out. Within an hour, he returned with groceries, warm blankets, and medicine. He fixed the heater, cooked soup, and sat silently as Liam and Grace ate like they hadn't in days. Over the next few weeks, Daniel checked on them every day. He repaired Liam's bike, helped Grace find a new job, and got her connected with a community program for single mothers. Slowly, color returned to her face. Hope returned to her eyes. One evening, as the three of them shared dinner, Grace whispered, "Why are you doing this, Daniel?" After what I did? He looked at her for a long moment. Because your son reminded me of mine. Grace blinked. You have a son? Daniel smiled faintly. Yeah. Ethan. He's 10. I know what it's like to be scared you can't feed your child. I know how it feels when life beats you down. He paused. But I also know how it feels when someone shows you kindness you didn't think you deserved. Her eyes welled again. You're a good man, Daniel. He shook his head. No. Just a man who learned forgiveness is stronger than anger. Months later, Grace got hired as a project coordinator in a tech firm, ironically, the same field she once stole from Daniel. But this time, she did it right. She worked hard, and Daniel, with quiet pride, watched her rebuild her life piece by piece. Liam and Ethan became best friends. The laughter that once seemed lost filled their homes again. One day, Daniel stood outside the school where the boys were playing. Grace walked up beside him, smiling softly. You know, she said, I used to think life took everything from me. But maybe it just stripped me down until I could start over right. Daniel smiled. Maybe that's what it does to all of us. She hesitated, then whispered, "Thank you for saving us." He looked at her, the woman who had once broken him, now standing stronger than ever. No, Grace, he said quietly. You and Liam saved yourselves. I just reminded you it was possible. That night, as Daniel drove home, he remembered the boy's trembling voice again. Sir, please, buy my bike. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days. He smiled sadly. That little voice had changed everything. Because sometimes, it takes a child's desperate plea to remind even a broken man that mercy can build what revenge never will.